At the end of Mass today, we're going to have a discipleship talk by Keith and Barb Thomas. And so please, like you always do, stay after receiving the Eucharist. Like we always do, make sure to stay. Give a thanksgiving to God for the great gift of the Eucharist. But then stay as well so you can hear a great talk by Keith and Barb Thomas. And because of this, of course, my homily will be a little shorter today. Now, I do have to give a homily, though. It's part of canon law. Every Sunday, I have to give a homily. And what a great day to give a homily, by the way, because today we are celebrating a very special feast. We're celebrating the feast of the dedication of the Lateran Basilica in Rome. But why would we be celebrating a feast of a building in Rome? Well, first off, as you know, it's not just a building, is it? It's a basilica. It's the Lateran Basilica in Rome. And on the outside of this beautiful basilica in Rome, it says this, that it is the mother and head of all churches of Rome and of the world. So we're celebrating our mother church. Now this church, this basilica, was dedicated in 324. That's a long time ago, 324. And as you know, it's also the cathedral for the Pope. So many people think, oh, it's St. Peter's is the cathedral for the Pope. This is not the case. The Pope is the Bishop of Rome, not of the Vatican, of Rome. And this is where his chair is. This is where the chair of Peter is situated. And it's an interesting place that, once again, it's in Rome. Of course, before the Catholic Church, we were all Jewish religion. And so our center of our religion would be where? In Jerusalem, most especially in the temple area. Of course, today we hear Jesus go there and he says, zeal for my house will overwhelm him. He drives the people out of the temple who are making it into a marketplace because the temple was the center of the religious world. But that changed. Of course, as Jewish people did not convert, they stayed in Jerusalem. But for Catholics, what happened? Well, they kind of moved to Rome. Peter and Paul, in their missionary zeal, went to Rome. They were also martyred there. Also, we know that the center of the world, especially back then, was kind of based out of Rome. So the church, in its wisdom, thought, if we have a center in Rome, then we can spread throughout the whole world. Remember the saying back then? All roads lead to... Let's try that again. All roads lead to... That's right. They all lead to Rome. And if they all lead to Rome, that means they all come from Rome as well. And so the church knew this, and so their center was based out of Rome. This is why we're called Roman Catholics. Ever think about that before? Not Jerusalem Catholics, not Excelsior Catholics, not Minnesota Catholics. We are part of the Roman Catholic Rite. And our home church is where? Our mother church could be considered the Lateran Basilica in Rome. And let's take a look at what's happened since then. Since the year 324, of course, the church has spread out, even before 324, and gone to the ends of the world and done what? And given us life. You know, in our first reading today from the prophet Ezekiel, he talks about a temple with flowing waters, and the waters will flow out and go to the sea full of salt, and it will bring it life. What sea was he talking about? He was talking about the Dead Sea. There's nothing living in the Dead Sea. I've been there, I floated in it. It has swim race in it too. It was really cool. Until the salt got in my eyes and everything like that, but that's a different story. But nothing can live in the Dead Sea. But this prophecy says that the temple waters go to the Dead Sea. It will bring it life. Life abundantly will be flowing from the sanctuary, for they shall be watered by the flow from the sanctuary. Of course, when we think of sanctuary, what should we be thinking about? The sanctuary of a church. In the middle of that sanctuary, which I'm in right now, of course, is what? The altar. And what flows from this altar? What comes from this altar? The body and blood of Christ. Which gives us what? Which gives us life. How beautiful this is. How amazing. That the churches around the world, that we're part of a universal church, the Roman Catholic Church, they're not just here in Excelsior, but around the world. And that from every single sanctuary, in every single church, life flows from. This is what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating our mother church. We're celebrating our faith. We're giving thanks to God that he has given us an opportunity to have life in him. Yes, in this world, but also eternal life with him.